I understand water doesn't work. So
Again, I'm not a fireman.
But you work in a plant, don't you?
Yeah, I know.
For 18 years,
and that's
I've never heard of
the process of actually fighting the fire. I realize that water is not used for asphalt cement, but it's more of a foam system.
A foam system. Okay, so special equipment.
I don't think it's that special.
So every fire department has foam.
I don't know the answer to that.
Mr. Bentley, did you talk to the fire department in your considerations for the site?
Yes, we did.
You did. And so how do they plan on fighting the fire?
You have to ask the fire chief for that. I have no idea.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, the applicant has indicated a willingness to comply with the suggested condition of approval that seeks the input of the fire department.
All right.
We've agreed unconditionally to that condition.
All right. I'll move to my next question then. I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, prior testimony suggested that the costs of any equipment and training would be picked up by the township. Is that correct?
Another question, please. I didn't testify.
Someone testified. Did someone testify to that earlier?
I didn't hear.
No, but I understand that you can't require this applicant. Someone asked to be additional firefighter. You can't ask an applicant to pay for a police car or a new fire truck as a conditional approval. That's what I said.
All right. So I can
From a
assume.
legal standpoint,
All right. So I can assume from that we're going to pay for it.
there's going to be taxes paid on this facility without any school children, so there will be revenue from the municipality.
So this is the $40 per person that we're going to get as a tax relief, correct? How much of the $40 is left after we bought this equipment and trained our firefighters?
It's an objectionable question without foundation. It hasn't even been established that what equipment's going to be purchased, if any equipment's going to be purchased. Let's move on.
All right. So I understand that if there is a problem at your facility, the school, that is within a half a mile, has to be evacuated. Do you provide a notification system to the school so that they can be evacuated in case of a problem?
I don't have an answer to that. That's again with the fire department.
You're out of order, man.
All right. Are you required to document all accidents that happen at your facility, and will those be made public?
Yes, we're required to document accidents in the facility, unlike just like every other industrial facility.
And are they made public?
If the authority that issued investigated the accident, yes, it would be public if it's public authority.
And you are inspected by OSHA, is that correct?
We follow OSHA guidelines, yes.
Follow OSHA guidelines, okay. Material safety data sheets, you talked about those before. Are they going to be made available to the public?
It's not a requirement. It's not a requirement. You know, just to clarify, we're going to meet all requirements, and if there's any other conditions that we have, we will meet them too. But right now, it's not a requirement, and we submit our application within all the bounds of all the requirements.
All right, but as a good neighbor, would you make them available?
To you?
Public.
It's not a requirement. Just to give you an idea, this is a private business. This isn't a public business. Just so you understand.
I believe that's, oh, one more. You operate other facilities in Long Island, I understand.
These questions, you know, I asked these questions prior to my prior testimony. So the answer is, I personally don't operate in your facilities, but yes, our company does.
All right. Would you be able to answer to any accidents that may have occurred in that facility?
No, I don't know.
All right, no further questions.
Martin Sugan, 4 Byron Drive in Lopatcong. You were introduced as the the Director of Operations of Inter-County Paving, is that correct?
That's correct.
And you're a paid representative of the applicant?
Yeah, of course, I don't work for free.
The board was informed that you could address whether or not the 85-foot silos would be visible from the strip mall or any public roadway. Can you do that?
Could you refer to which strip mall you're talking about?
The one across the street, not Strikers, the other main roadway. Subway, Bruno's Pizza.
I actually didn't go stand in those places and get a perspective. I don't think it was a requirement of this application to stand there and look or do a measurement from whatever elevation you're talking about.
So when the board was informed that you could answer the question, that was a
It's an inbound question, actually.
that was a misrepresentation. You previously stated that there will be no detectable odors. I believe you said by instrumentation. Is that correct?
There will be no detectable odors, yes.
A popular odor-reducing chemical used in asphalt plants and represented by Kevin Smith states in their literature it has a dramatic effect on odorous gases, but does not eliminate them. How do you reconcile those differences?
There's going to be no odor detected at the property line on our site. There's nothing to remedy.
Lopat Ordinance 2011-07 requires that under no circumstances can any stored material leave the site by natural causes or forces such as wind or water. Is that your representation also?
We're going to meet all the requirements of the zoning and ordinances.
The environmental expert for the town stated that wind-blown material would leave the site from the unwashed gravel and sand sites. How do you resolve that discrepancy?
I never testified to
I
any
didn't say
material
you
on the site.
did. Are you differing from the town's witness?
There were two, would you specify which witness, please? There were two witnesses speaking by the town that are environmental witnesses. I'm just asking if you would clarify which witness's testimony you're referring to.
Yes, I will. Susan Engel represented that day.
Okay. There's going to be no material leaving our site.
My follow-up question was, do you differ from the town's witness, Susan Engel?
If she stated what you're repeating, yes, there will be no material leaving our site.
Lopat 2011-07 also allows bulk storage of up to 25 feet. How high is your highest bulk storage?
25 feet.
2011-07 increased the allowable height from 14 to 25 feet. Did you or anyone else communicate your requirements to the town council or this board?
Wait, I'm going to object to this. There are questions about the ordinance. There's a lawsuit right now challenging the zoning ordinance. The validity or invalidity of the ordinance is not before the board. What's before the board is the site plan application. So I don't think questions about the ordinance are appropriate. I would object to them.
Same question applies to ordinance 2011-15, which represents the same facts.
I'm
Are you
sorry.
referring to an ordinance?
Lopat ordinance 2011-15 represents the same change from 14 to 25 feet. Same question applies.
We would continue the objection, and again, to reiterate, the issues with regard to the validity of the ordinance are not within the purview of this body. This board's function is to determine conformance with the zoning ordinance. These objections have been sustained from the chair routinely during the course of these proceedings. We are unnecessarily elongating these proceedings by continually repeating questions that have been the subject of sustained objections.
I'm sorry, I'm part of the lawsuit, so I don't know which ordinances it applies to. Can you tell me if these lawsuit that pertains to forbidden questions is 2011-7 and 2011-15?
They're all over.
We are here to discuss the present ordinance that's on the books and whether or not this application conforms with that ordinance and other applicable standards. Issues with regard to the enactment of an ordinance are issues dealt with at the governing body level, the legislative body of this municipality. That is not what a planning board does. Those are objectionable questions. I object to them. Enough already.
As much as we are aware that the board has changed regulations without addressing which ones in particular to allow the asphalt plant, are you concerned that the board and council can rechange their regulations again to make it impossible to complete your project?
You know, Mr. Chairman, we'd like questions to continue about the site plan, about the project, legitimate questions within the purview of this board. People may be against the ordinance or in favor of the ordinance. The validity of the ordinance is determined by the Superior Court. It's a federal issue in federal court. This board doesn't determine the validity of the ordinance, and questions about whether it's good or bad, or we like it or we don't, are irrelevant to the hearing tonight. We'd like to proceed with the site plan and not questions about the zoning ordinance or the zoning amendments.
With all due respect, that wasn't the target of my question, but I will proceed.
You also run out of time.
Thank you.
My name is Anna Havens, 814 Rugby. Are the drivers who will be driving the trucks, transporting the asphalt from your facility, employees or independent owner-operators?
It could be both.
Does your company train them?
Yes, we do.
All of them? Does the company, your company, have a disciplinary system in place for drivers who have accidents?
Yes, we do.
Can you describe that, please?
It's really not relevant to this application, but we really have a zero tolerance policy with truck drivers. And a zero tolerance. If we find that there's violation, we terminate most drivers.
Good, that's encouraging. Okay, how many drivers do you tend to have?
Again, it's a real irrelevant question to this application for the board, and it varies. It can vary day to day.
Okay. How many hours a day do they typically drive?
Again, you know, they're going to drive the allowable hours as long as they meet all the federal requirements. And it's a question not relevant to this application.
What are the allowable hours?
It will depend on the job. You know, I'm not putting a truck on the terminal here. So I believe the questions about trucks, or if they keep going about the regulations of truck, we follow them all and we abide by them.
What percentage of trucks will be heading out to Route 57?
We do have a traffic engineer. Unfortunately, I don't think we'll get to him tonight, but these questions, I believe, would be more appropriate for the traffic engineer.
Actually, at the previous meeting when I asked you if you could answer.
I can answer the question.
Yeah.
About 20% of the volume of traffic.
Okay, 20% out on the 57. Of that 20%, how many will be heading towards the school? That would be at least.
I can't answer the question. I can't answer the question.
At what times? Is it 24 hour? I'm sorry if I'm just not recalling. Is it 24 hours a day that these trucks will be operating?
The ordinance allows us to operate the facility 24 hours.
Okay.
It doesn't mean the trucks will operate a continuous 24 hours.
Okay, and are the drivers drug and alcohol tested?
Again, we're going on trucking questions, but of course they are. It's a requirement to keep their license in good standing. And yes, they are drug tested.
By your company? I'm not.
Yes, by our company. Yes, by our company, they are drug tested, yes. Federally requirement, it is.
Okay. Will the trucks be stopping at the railroad tracks like school buses do, or are they just like?
You know, this is a site plan application. This isn't a question of, you know, the truck driver's going to drink, or they're going to obey traffic regulations. This is way beyond the purview of this board. This isn't a traffic enforcement body. This is a planning board that entertains site plans, subdivision conditional use, and associated variances, C variances to go with it. I'm sorry that I have to object, but I think asking questions about Will the truck drivers drink? Are they trained by you? Will they stop at the railroad
Yeah,
tracks?
while they
That's
drive
way-
by our school.
Wait, that's way beyond the purview of this board. It's within the police department. Obviously, we'll have to check to this whole line of questions.
I appreciate you trying to stop my questioning, however, I appreciate if you let me just ask a couple more.
You won't come in town, we won't have to worry about this.
And just, my last question, I believe, what size are the trucks? That would be-
It's another trucking question. The size of trucks vary. There's going to be pickup trucks that may enter the site. There could be single axle trucks that enter the site.
I mean the
There
ones
could
that are
be-
transporting.
Well, all different kinds of truck transport asphalt. There could be trucks that are like mason dumps with one axle. There could be two axle. There could be three axle trucks that transport asphalt. So again, they're all gonna meet all the weight restrictions, and they're gonna be certified on the scale that they don't leave our site overweight. They leave within the range of their requirement by law.
Okay, thank you.
Loretta Berkman, 206 Stonehenge Drive, Lopatcong Township. Mr. Mitzak, in the production of asphalt in your plant, do you utilize benzene and/or any other carcinogen for the production of that asphalt?
You know, man, we have an air quality control expert that would answer those questions, and it already has answered those questions. And we meet the requirements, we have in place an air quality control permit. And we're going to meet all those requirements for that permit.
Sir, you're not answering my question.
I'm not, I can't answer your question because I
As
am
the
not.
plant manager, Mr. Mitzak, you should know what chemicals are being used. Just as you need to have material safety data sheets for every single hazardous material in your plant, you should know what those chemicals are. So I would ask you again, do you utilize benzene and/or any other carcinogenic material in the process of asphalt in your plant?
Okay, again, I'm going to meet the air quality control permit. And what I
That's
do
not
have,
my question,
I do
sir.
have an air quality control expert here that would be better suited.
Answer my question, please.
I am not an expert in air quality.
What are your compounds that you use to manufacture asphalt? I am not a lawyer, sir. That is within his purview, and I have a right to know. Because let me explain to you. I am the mother of a son, thank God, who has survived acute myelogenous leukemia. And his transplant physician at that time said that the reason he acquired leukemia was due to benzene exposure, sir. And I am concerned for all the children. Carcinogenic material within his plant.
He's not qualified to answer.
The materials that we use stone, we use sand, we use asphalt and cement, okay? The products you're talking about are caused, I believe, from combustion, and I'm not an expert. So our plant is run on natural gas, okay? And any kind of combustible products or organic products probably release some different kinds of chemicals. The oil releases some, I know. Waste oil uses others. And natural gas being the cleanest, which we're going to operate on. I'm sure has some byproduct chemicals, which I'm not familiar with the exact types, labels, doses, all that stuff. However, I do know that the New Jersey DEP holds us to the highest standards, okay, as far as air quality control.
Sir, you have not answered my question. And Mr. Van Fleet, if you do not get the answers that I have asked for from this body of people that are sitting in the front row, then I recommend you turn down.
Should be ashamed.
All of you. If you got it that way, you should go back somewhere else. You're killing your grandchildren and your children and yourself.
Mr. Chairman,
I think we're getting way out.
we're having a difficult time hearing the questions. We're having a difficult time.
I just want to talk about the material being stored on site. And I know that the ordinance was changed to say that your facility will also be a recycling facility. Is that correct? But it will take recycled material.
We're going to be taking asphalt, yes, milled up asphalt.
Are you familiar with the DOT specifications there?
That's a general question. Depends on what you're relating it to.
I think the last time that you were here, I thought you said that 80% of your work would come from the DOT.
Correct, yes.
That would be correct. Are you prepared with the new recipes that the DOT are required for you to use these days?
Recipes in regards to asphalt,
Yes.
mixing line, yes, I'm familiar.
Is rubber one of those materials?
Polymer is one of those materials that comes pre-mixed into the asphalt cement.
Is recycled rubber tires one of your materials?
I believe it's an option to be used, but it's an option not to use.
Is it mandated for this area?
No.
If it were to be used, because DOT may or may not specify it, what would be the process of mixing asphalt with rubber?
The rubber I think you're talking about is going to come into the oil itself, into the asphalt and cement. It's not going to be mixed in with the material as it mixes. So in other words, it's already going to be pre-mixed when it comes to the site. It's going to mix just like any other oil. It's going to go into the drum and mix in the drum and then go up into the silos.
The reason why I'm asking this question is because you have a whole new recipe of materials. Before you just had regular asphalt, gravel, and now you're adding another ingredient, which is rubber. And rubber is one of those products that's very hard to dispose of.
Just so you understand, we're not, the asphalt that is the cement for the product. It's the rubber, the asphalt, that's what you're talking about. We're not burning that material. That material needs to stay intact. You don't want it to break down when you make asphalt. So what happens is the stone gets hot, and then the material gets introduced to the stone away from the burner. It never goes in contact with any flame, it doesn't burn, it doesn't cause emissions. That mixes and then goes up. So we're not taking asphalt and making like a fire out of it.
I understand that. But what I'm just trying to get to is that these available materials are on site.
There's a potential.
Yes, sir. Yes or no?
Well, no, it's yes and no.
Yes,
There's a
yes,
potential.
yes. They are on site.
Can I answer your question? There's a potential for polymerized asphaltic cement to be on site.
I'm not asking polymer. Polymer's a plastic.
Well,
I'm
it's the
talking
same
about rubber tires.
No, there's no potential for rubber tires to be on site.
Well, I understand that Rutgers University has introduced a report to use recycled rubber, and DOT is mandated that material be used when they're repaving 78?
Again, I have not seen any of that material being used.
I do have an air quality question, and it's in regards to our expert witness. Can I ask that question?
Sure.
When we finish with this witness, I'm sure that he'll be at the next meeting. We'd like to finish the witness if we could.
Absolutely. You'll have an opportunity.
Okay. Sorry, one more question. I have a picture here of an asphalt plant. Is this what an asphalt plant typically looks like?
That's a typical asphalt plant, but it's very hard to tell from the picture, and it looks to me like it's not the same type of asphalt plant we're putting to. It's very hard to tell because the back end is covered by the bagging house and these stacks. It's totally a piece of different equipment than what we're going to be installing here.
I understand, I know you say it's state-of-the-art facility.
And I would say it is.
Yes, you're right. But it seems that statement basically comes from the aspect that the drone, the actual equipment is state-of-the-art. Is that correct?
Yeah, yes.
But
it's more than just a drum. I mean, it's the whole piece of equipment. It's the whole functionality of the equipment in its entirety.
I understand, yes. But I just wanted to clarify that when we talk state-of-the-art, when we talk about that specific piece of equipment, we're not talking about the actual site conditions. We're not talking about the architectural buildings that are on site. It's only that piece of equipment. So when we talk about state-of-the-art facility, it's specific to one piece of equipment, not the entire site.
Well,
Do you agree or not?
no, I don't agree with that.
That's all I have to say. Thank you.
My name is Luz Rodriguez, 298 Stonehenge Drive, Lopatcong. Luz Rodriguez? Yes, O-U-Z, last name R-O-D-R-I-G-U-E-Z. I'm a respiratory therapist for 14 years. And my question is, both for the employees and the children, are the employees going to be aware of the effects of the asphalt as employees?
OSHA doesn't require us to wear any personal protection, either manufacturing the asphalt or also laying the asphalt on the road. So on either side of that, no, there's no awareness to be made because it's not regulated. OSHA doesn't require any protective protection, respiratory protection.
Really? Wow. Okay, what about the children? My question is, concern and question is that children born of normal pregnancy, 9 months, their lungs don't finish developing until age 10. Are your company, I don't know, maybe, or the town may want to require special treatments for the children that are in the school, not to wait till the last minute that God forbid there's a fume outbreak, and by the time they get to the hospital, it's too late. And it's something that will cause damages for life. Would they be willing to do some type of accommodation where the school will have something prepared for them?
I really believe that, the New Jersey DEP has all those takes all those considerations when they make requirements for permits, and when we obtain permits, they've already looked in and researched the health and safety of children, adults, people that live near or around any kind of industrial facility, not just ours.
But my concern is with the school being that the school is back close by, in the event that there is an emergency, I mean, you can't get to the hospital that fast, and their time as far as oxygenating them.
We don't have we're not dealing with chemicals that are if there was a spill, are going to cause fumes in the air that are detrimental to you. We're not dealing with acids or anything.
Bill Taggart, T-A-G-G-A-R-T, 15 Classic Road in Lopatcong. Over a 10-year period, what are the chances, probabilities that you would have an event that would require an evacuation in the half-mile area?
The chances, I would personally believe, would be zero. We would follow safe practices with the operation. We have a lot of money invested in the operation, just like any other industry. So the safe practices, you know, there's always a chance of anything happening, but the way we're going to operate is very, very low chance.
Okay, if you look at all the plants of your type, say, across the country, have you read anything on any statistics about accidents that would require an evacuation?
No, I never have.
Thank you.
My name is Ajay Kathuria, A-J-A-Y Kathuria, K-A-T-H-U-R-I-A, K-A-T-H-U-R-I-A, 1209 Burroughs Drive, Greenwich Township. 1209 Burroughs Drive, Greenwich Township. The gentleman before you, the professional engineer, you stated that the NJDEP does a pretty good job of protecting the public and the environment. Is that correct? Actually, do you agree with his statement?
Of course I agree.
Can the DEP guarantee that the protection of public health and safety will take place in every situation?
You know, I believe the question should be asked. There's some experts here up on the board has some experts.
Okay, do you think that the DEP regulations guarantee public health and safety?
I think that they use best practices to ensure public safety. All industrial
The
uses.
best practices guarantee public health and safety and the protection of the environment. In your opinion?
Yes.
They do?
Yes, in my opinion.
Do you think accidents can ever happen at a site? Spills, leaks?
I think I have to object to that. Can an accident happen? Any use that this board approves can be subject to an accident, including a garage, a doghouse, a house, a manufacturing gas station.
Okay, so the answer is?
The objection is, can an accident happen? It's totally irrelevant to this site plan application.
Okay, in your opinion, in a plant like this, can an accident, a leak, or a spill ever happen?
I'd ask for a ruling from the chair of the board's council.
So the DEP cannot guarantee the public health and safety and that protection of the environment, correct?
In regards to an accident, is that what you're asking?
Yeah, I mean, if the DEP regulations you say are really good and do a good job, do you think that guarantees protection of the environment?
Objection. My objection is only to indicate that this witness cannot speak for the DEP. I think he's indicated that there are two experts here who are probably much better situated to do that. So this witness cannot speak for the DEP.
He is a plant operator.
He can only speak for himself.
So can he, in his opinion, opine whether an accident can happen? Why not?
Mr. Chairman, wait, can an accident happen? What use can not have an accident happen? I think it's an irrelevant question.
Okay, so the answer is
wait,
yes.
let me just...
The answer is that the accident can happen.
No. I think it's I know it's an irrelevant question. I'd like a ruling. Let the questioner move on to a question that hopefully is relevant.
I'm only asking for his opinion as a plant operator. Okay, let me ask you another question. Do you know that benzene is carcinogen?
Again,
do you know? I mean, do you?
Listen, I do know, and I'm not an air quality expert by any means, but I have quickly looked over it. I know we require it, and benzene is we don't produce benzene, I believe.
Is that what you say?
We don't produce it, that's what I'm saying. I don't know, I'm not a chemist, but I know we don't produce it.
Okay. Do you use
gas stations produce benzene, we don't produce benzene.
Do you use a product that uses benzoylpyrene as a compound?
No.
No? Asphalt has benzoylpyrene, which is a carcinogen. You know that?
Again, I'm not a chemist, and I'm not a air quality control.
And a semi-volatile.
I'm sorry, I can't hear anything.
Every asphalt product has a semi-volatile compound of benzoylpyrene, which is a carcinogen. You know that.
Sir, do you have?
I just said that, I don't know the answer to that specific chemical.
Petroleum, you use petroleum in your plant, in your products?
Asphalt is known as a petroleum-based product. We don't,
What is
the plant, listen.
Sorry, I'm
Sorry.
sorry, really sorry, but I can't take it down if you're going to talk over each other. And if you want to do that, I'm on.
Sorry.
Your 5 minutes are up also.
Yeah, I'll finish the question. The plant, listen, I'll finish the question. The plant is not using petroleum for combustion. We're using natural gas. Well, it's relevant because we're not burning the asphalt. The asphalt that we use and store in our tanks is the same stuff that's on the roads. It's going to be in the same form it leaves. It's going to be warm, and when it goes down, it gets hard. The same chemicals that, whatever the chemicals you're naming, are in the road or are in your driveway. If they are in what you're saying, we're not burning it. We're not burning
You know
it.
the benzene is volatile even at room temperature?
I don't know the specifics of benzene. I just know it's something that's not a major concern, a byproduct for operation. Not a byproduct.
Not a major concern.
We don't admit it.
Barry Glassman, Phillipsburg Riverview Organization, Vice Chairman, PRO, Phillipsburg Riverview Organization. You gave testimony a few minutes ago.
I'm sorry, just would the witness just indicate whether he's speaking for himself or on behalf of the organization with authority from the organization?
Again, Barry Glassman, Phillipsburg Riverview Organization. So I am representing Phillipsburg Riverview Organization as the Vice Chair. Is that good? Thank you. My question is, a few minutes ago, you gave testimony in great detail about polymers and how various chemicals are used in the processes, whether outside the plant, materials come in the plant, or within the plant. Just in general, you gave expert testimony on details related to some of the processes and chemicals in answer to some of the other questions. And I'm just curious, when it comes to some of the known chemicals that are carcinogens, it's amazing how you become, forgive me, you become dumb at that point. So are there any carcinogens?
There wasn't a question in there, but more importantly, you've indicated that this witness testified as an expert. This witness was not qualified as an expert. He testified as a fact witness.
Thank you for correcting me in the procedure there. I appreciate that. Can you just simply answer the question of some of the chemicals that are probably within ordinance and DEP rules, but why is it that you won't just answer the simple question of some chemicals that are known to be used?
We have an expert here to do that is certified to answer those questions. I am not.
Thank you.
Neil Fair to Sharer, Bertrand Briner, representing the adjacent landowner, and I'm going to ask very specific operations questions. Okay? I know you've referenced that you're going to be running the plant 24/7 at some times, correct?
Yes, sometimes, yes.
Can you describe for me what a 24-hour operation is? Let's start with, what time do you start?
The operation has the ability to run 24 hours by ordinance. Doesn't mean that we're going to run continuously 24 hours. Our operation is based on the workload that we have ahead of us. Okay? So the plant, a normal operation would be probably start manufacturing asphalt between, if it was going out at 7 o'clock in the morning, maybe we would start at 6 a.m.
And so someone there is starting what are they doing? Describe the operations.
Well, they're running through their check systems to get the equipment operation.
Right.
And they're going to start to manufacture asphalt. They're going to put the stone into the cold feed bins. They're going to, then from there, the plant operator operates one. The loader puts the stone in. And and then it goes in to the drum, it gets mixed, goes up the conveyor, into the silos, and stored and waiting for pickup by truck.
And then if you're running 24-hour operation, there's somebody on site during all the 24 hours running the operation? There'll always be someone there?
Anytime this operation is running, there will be people on site.
Okay, perfect, that's what I wanted to hear. So it's not run by computers, it's run,
Oh, no,
there's
no,
going to be
no.
someone there at all
No,
times?
there'll be several employees all times.
I'm not going to ask you about what precautions you make so that odors don't leave the site, because it's been your testimony that odors will not leave the site.
Correct.
That's good to hear. I had asked the air quality expert about what could be done as far as some of the plant operations so that I didn't have dust and other kind of materials leaving the site, migrating to my client's site, and I had asked if you could take the dust, you could take the, I'm sure you anticipated this question, that the stone and the sand, can those be put in indoor facilities or kind of like salt domes?
The dust is going to stay on our site. I mean, you're aware, your site has outside storage of stone. I mean, it's outside, it's not under a roof, your site. Your stone that you use in your operation.
The sand?
Is the same as mine, and it doesn't leave your site, and it's not going to leave my site.
It's not going to leave your site?
No, just like yours, it's the same stone.
But it's not the sand and all of those?
The compound that we make is bituminous concrete or cement. I believe you guys produce cement.
We use cement, correct?
Right, you mix cement, you actually mix cement to make precast concrete.
Correct.
So you use Portland cement and sand and stone of different sizes. And we use sand and stone of different sizes. And we use asphalt cement.
Right.
So, again, the dust is not going to leave our property. And we're going to have outside storage just like you have outside storage on your property.
And so are you aware in all of your asphalt operations, are you aware of operations that do have indoor facilities for portions of the?
No, no.
And that's all I just want to know. And again, you're saying no discernible odor?
No.
Okay. As a condition of any approval, would you agree to replacing filters on a certain basis that was necessary in order to make sure that odors did not leave the property?
I don't know what filters you're referring to, but the filters in the bag house will be replaced.
And you would agree
there's a maintenance schedule on that, and they're going to be replaced, and no odors will leave the property.
And would you agree to install broken bag detectors?
They're already planned, it's completely automated. It'll notify if there's bag broken immediately. They'll make
and they will be in there and they will...
Yeah, it's full.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Loideth, Loideth, Huff, Huff, 5 Windsor Lane, Lopac. My question to you, sir, and you seem to have been skirting around the issue. As a person who is responsible for the workers that I supervise, I have to be able to know every product that is being used in my company. The lady had asked earlier about the benzene, and that was never addressed. You don't need to be an expert witness, right, to be able to let me finish. You don't need to be an expert witness to be able to contribute an answer for her concern, for her son, for my children, for my family.
You keep bringing benzene up, and we don't admit benzene. The biggest contributor to benzene is at a gas station, a local gas station. If you look at benzene, problems with benzene, it's at your gas station when you go to put your thing in your gas tank. They're the highest contributors to benzene, highest.
Okay.
So just to compare.
So we'll take benzene off the table for the moment. Is there any product that is used that will potentially be a carcinogen?
Our products, the products that we're using as far as the glue or the cement to adhere to material, no, there's not going to be an emissions problem because it doesn't burn. We're using natural gas. We're burning our burner with natural gas. Just like a furnace, just like all the other industries, most industries have natural gas today. We're emitting the same combustible elements or whatever they're labeled, and we have an air quality audit, the name, they're the same thing. It's not different. It's burning natural gas in an efficient manner.
Who will be monitoring your compliance?
New Jersey DEP.
And when not in compliance, is that report will be made public?
I believe it is. Again, there's a DEP expert on the board. He's better suited to answer the question.
Okay, again, skirting the issue.
I'm not skirting the issue. When you have somebody who has a resume to work for DEP, and you're asking me, I manage construction companies. He's better to answer the question. Ask him. He's right there. Right there.
Well, you know, it's continuing to take the same path, sir. You refuse to answer the question and skirt the issue.
Yeah, I mean, I could answer the question about the inspections. I believe you asked if they would be public record.
I'm sorry to interrupt, just because of the tenor and nature of the questions that have been asked. I know you did this before, but there seem to be a lot of people who weren't here previously who are saying, oh, would you mind giving the very brief synopsis of your experience so people understand the credibility with which you're speaking?
My personal experience?
He's already testified to that. For a record of this proceeding.
Well, I mean, I can just briefly say I'm a professional engineer, degree in chemical engineering. I've worked a career for about 20 years. Part of my career was spent as a contractor with NJDEP as well as EPA, and primarily in the air quality arena. And just to answer your question about, you know, how is it enforced? It is the NJDEP that enforces what they're requiring the plant to do for proper operation. In any event, you asked if there was an inspection, would that be made public? When there is an inspection made by the air quality inspectors, that is on the NJDEP website, and it's associated with any plant. You can go and look at their inspection report. So that's just to answer your question.
Hi, Lori, Lori, Chesla, CIE, S is in Sam, LA, 12 Meadowview Drive in Lopatcong. I'm not sure if you'd be able to answer these, but you mentioned the other day that you do self-regulation in addition to having the NJDEP and
requirement.
Right. And you mentioned that it's not done like on paper, like you're checking pages and writing down, that you use a software program to do that?
The computer system generates information that is logged, put into a logbook.
Okay. Do you know if that software, I'm guessing you don't have in-house IT people creating the software, it comes
It's from the manufacturer.
It's from the manufacturer. Do you know if they're regularly audited?
I don't know if it's...
Do you know if you'd be able to find out, like, are they a public company?
Yes.
Because all public companies have to, under the Sarbanes-Oxley law, have to be audited. So if we required it, would you be able to tell us who the company is?
For this plane here, the company's TRS.
Okay. And then I don't know if you can answer these either. I don't know how familiar you are with your insurance coverage, but just from like a financial standpoint.
I'm going to suggest here, I don't think it's relevant. It's relevant if it was a subdivision and you needed a subdivision bond, or if you're bonding improvements, but we don't go asking financial questions. What kind of insurance do you have? Can you comply with the project? This, after all, is a free enterprise country still, and this board doesn't look into a financial aspect of the conforming site plan. So I'd object to questions about the finances of the applicant. I would say it's costing a lot of money just proceeding with this application.
That wasn't my question, though. It was more for the protection of yourself and
We're fully insured.
Okay. If something happens off-site,
say you're driving down the road and there's like a spill, are you required to pay for that through your insurance, or is that something that the town would have to do through theirs?
We're responsible for our own vehicle.
Okay, so even off-site, you would be?
Anywhere in the country, we're responsible for our own vehicles.
The vehicle or the damage to the state of the road?
Just answer the question from the questioner, not from the audience.
If something should fly off the truck and say hit my windshield, is that my insurance that pays or yours?
This is a legal negligence question. I don't even know the answer from a land use attorney, but I don't think this witness who operates an asphalt plant knows legal liability, and I would reject the question.
Sustained.
Okay, do you know if you, there's all a variety of liability coverages. Do you have a very extensive, like, could it cover pollution and environmental site cleanup?
Same objection.
Sustained.
Okay, let me see if there's anything else that you want to object to. If there was an accident on site, which doesn't involve the town, would you be informing them of that within 24 hours, just for informational purposes?
You know, accident sets a broad thing. I mean, I don't know. I don't know really how to answer that question accurately.
Is it something that, I mean, you know, if there was a spill or a fire or a collision of some sort?
Can I answer? If there was a fire, they'd be notified. The fire department. And if there's a spill, they'd not be notified. That's fire.
I have one more. When you have an asphalt plant come in, is there, it's probably going to be objected to, like what are the typical, and I don't mean like fire, like, you know, catastrophic events, I mean like smaller events. What are typical incidents that you have to report? Machinery breakdown, theft? Is it, like, do you find that you submit a lot of insurance claims, or?
No. We don't submit a lot of insurance claims.
In the event, and this is just a broad base, but I'm sure I'll object again. In the event that something happens, I mean, the economy is not the greatest right now. A lot of companies are struggling. Should something happen and you feel you need to either file bankruptcy or you have to close the plant, what is your responsibility for completely shutting down the plant?
Again, objection.
Also sustained.
Thank you.
Louis Cardona, 1119 Fifth Avenue. Mr. Fitzak, you said that mainly your job in the last 18 years was Director of Operations.
That's my title.
How many years have you had that title?
10 years, 8 years.
Thank you. And when asked what your company did and what you did in the company, you said paved roads. Is that correct?
Inter-county paves roads and builds infrastructure.
The question is personally, because I'm asking about your credibility of what you do. You said you pave roads.
I'm a manager of the company. I run the businesses. I run all of our businesses over here. I started, just so you know, building roads way back. So I'm very qualified to build roads, yes.
Okay. How many years did you personally operate an asphalt manufacturing facility?
This is our first asphalt facility.
I'm asking you personally.
So I have not operated an asphalt facility myself.
Thank you. The answer was no. Help clarify something on direct. It was asked about what's going in the silo. You said liquid or solid materials.
Solid material.
It's solid materials? Okay. And you said there's no hazardous materials stored on site. You mean the MSDS data sheet does not list anything that would be considered hazardous?
I think if it's on the MSDS, a lot of materials, they're hazardous. Asphaltic cement is hazardous if you eat it, if that's what you're asking. I don't know the question. Gasoline, if you drink, it's hazardous.
You don't know, thank you for the answer. I'll make these questions quick because 5 minutes goes quick. I believe you have testified that it's possible. Sorry, go back to this one. Have you worked with recycled asphalt? I think you already testified that you plan to, but have you actually personally worked with recycled asphalt?
Yes, I have.
Does the applicant, your boss, plan on using recycled asphalt here?
Yes.
Okay. Are you certified in a controlled process to test what is in the recycled asphalt?
I personally am not, but this facility is going to be staffed by managers that will have all the certifications required by any department or any authority.
So in the plan, do you test the recycled material that comes in for hazardous materials? In the applicant's plan, are you testing for recycled materials that come in that you plan on using in the process?
What materials are you talking about? What recycled materials are you talking about?
Recycled asphalt that you plan on using that you already
test it
tested.
for hazardous material?
That's correct.
No.
Do you know where, or will you verify where the recycled asphalt comes from?
It's a broad question. It's going to come from whatever project the plant is servicing. That is, if the contractor doing the project is milling up an asphalt.
You mentioned in previous testimony that you will use dust in certain mixes. Where do you get that dust?
Could you repeat the question?
I think for the purposes of this area, it's way far afield.
I'll answer.
Thank you.
The dust, where do we get the dust? Is that what you?
Yeah, you mentioned sand and gravel, but you never actually identified dust as one of the products. Where would you get that dust?
They're asking. It comes from the bag house. It's collected in the bags, in the bag house, and we collect it from there. And it actually gets recirculated right back into the material from the bag house.
Okay. Is it possible that while using recycled asphalt, that the original asphalt manufacturer facility mixed in ash that contains hazardous materials?
Don't know the answer to that question.
I believe you have testified that it's possible, although not necessarily common, but is it possible that your product could wind up in hazardous materials for lack of knowing what is in recycled asphalt?
I didn't testify that it could or it couldn't. I said I don't know.
Another vein of your expertise is in operations, that the trucks that come in to pick up the asphalt. What is the terminology of the hopper, or whatever the trucks receive the asphalt? What's that called? Hopper?
We're going way far afield of what we use.
The relevance is operating on the sites that the trucks may actually emit things that he might have knowledge to.
Well, the trucks are fully taught. Okay, it's a requirement.
Do the trucks arriving have their hoppers, for lack of answering the question, perfectly clean? I mean, have they had something else, residuals?
Oh, I know where you're going. You're going to be put fuel oil in the bodies. That's what you just asked the question. We put fuel oil? No, we're going to use a biodegradable soap solution that will be available on site. And by the way, fuel oil actually breaks down asphalt. Let me finish the answer. All right. So the fuel oil, I know what you're going to ask. If there's any detection of fuel oil in the body by the government regulation, where the products go, will reject the product. It's a very expensive product, so we wouldn't want that to happen. So the alternative to using the biodegradable solutions.
So you're testifying that your quality control and operations, that every truck that comes in...
30-year-old pilot.
It's every truck.
Just one on the record that I had other crossings.
Want to take a 5-minute break or? We're going to go until we put the witnesses. Okay, take a break. take a 5-minute break before reporter.